Isn't it Jeezy that sings put on for your city?
I think so. And like I feel so old, even though that's kind of an old song.
Dude, that's a banger. That's a banger.
Welcome to My God Up Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's matchup with the Kentucky Wildcats. We talk through what we're looking for in the game, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned MyGottaPodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at MyGottaPodcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at OxiaTime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, John. So it's Kentucky week. I told you via text that I had something. I think we were talking about this with Coach Trill. That I had a Kentucky bourbon and that it wasn't anything crazy, but I knew it was something that you would not have had. So I have
Uh,
it's a Woodford Reserve, but it's a barrel pick from Concord ABC. So
what is it?
it's a Woodford Reserve barrel pick from the
Okay.
Concord ABC store here locally for me. So,
That's awesome. What's the name on it?
ooh, did you hear that? I don't know. It doesn't always come through. It just says, uh, it's just like the normal bottle, the Distillers Select, but it says, personally selected by Concord ABC. That's all it says on it.
Okay. Sometimes they'll throw a label on those things with like what the actual batch name was. Like at Southern Spirits, they had the baseball glove was what it was called.
Yeah, yeah. It's good. It's got like a selection date on it. That's all that it's got.
What's the proof on it?
90.
Nice. I enjoy the Woodford Reserve picks that I've had. I think Hunter had one that was like he I think he called it like they called it a lemon drop or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
or lemon bar. Um, but yeah, all of the Woodford Reserve picks. That's a great Woodford Reserve store picks are pretty good from what I've had.
I got this over the summer. I've actually been saving it for this week since this game loomed large. I've been hanging on to it. I just opened the bottle. So cheers.
Nice. Cheers. I'm honored to share it with you.
Ooh, it's quite good.
I have in honor of the festivities that are going to be going on, I have a Tailgate King Greg special with the Ancient Age 10 star,
Nice. Nice. Excellent choice.
which is also a 90 proof bourbon.
Hey,
Nice and easy going because you got to pace yourself this weekend, Jim. All right.
that's right. It's gonna be a long day. Gonna be a long day. Uh
Make sure we have some branch water handy.
yeah, seriously. We have to pace ourselves. The which I guess we can go ahead and discuss that a bit. We'll both be there, so we're confirmed. We'll be out and about on campus. So
My God, a podcast will be out and about. Although I need to get like a 10-gallon yellow hat or something like that because apparently we need to have special hats. It's like the Kentucky Derby out here.
right, right. I believe it was Rambo that was requesting we have signature hats or something
Yeah,
to identify us.
the signature hats. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I'm the only one with the red golf hat with the rope. I don't know. I wore that to a different game. I wore that to South Carolina, so I'm not sure I'm going to wear that again. My question, John, is it going to be baseball pullover weather this weekend? I might.
I've been watching that as well. However, I don't know. I've been it's been like 80 something degrees every day thus far. And even if
Exactly.
it was a little bit cooler, like I'm gonna be shorts and polo
Yeah.
probably all the way through because I can't. Number one, I don't know that I want to do a wardrobe change in the middle in the right before we go into the stadium.
Yeah, I wore pants to South Carolina game and or no, sorry, UAB game. And it was a big mistake. I was burning up.
Big mistake.
By like, the end of the game, I was comfortable. But like throughout the day and leading in the first three quarters, I was hot.
Yeah.
So
See, my hope is that there's going to be enough what do you call it, radiant heat from everybody around or whatever, so that
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
won't be I won't be super chilly or anything like that. So, but my plan is to bring a blanket just in case, to have in the car, so we can
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
always go and pick one up.
Right. 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 Well, yeah. So I don't know. We'll be there for the weekend. I'm gonna come in early, like you are. I think we're gonna come in Friday. Try to go see Jason Hasty Friday afternoon. Hit up the Hard Grit Library since we haven't been able to swing by there in person. So looking forward to that.
Yes, I cannot wait to go. Like I said, I'm also bringing Carter. So if you've heard us talk about Sorry Carter, he's been on the podcast, the most famous podcaster of My God Podcast. Will be in attendance with us at the tailgates in Athens.
Nice.
It's going to be fun for me because I'm really hoping to get one of those leather helmets to let him put it on and get a picture of him in the leather helmet. It's like one of the must-have pictures for me.
And you won't even have to have gloves if there is one. As we learned. Too good. Too good. Yeah, so it'll be good. This is the game we've said all along looms large. So I know a lot of folks will be in town. Bulldog venturing back across the pond yet again. Should be a big time this weekend.
Yes. Looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
All right. Why don't we run through the matchup? So as we said, night game. So 7 p.m. Under the lights, we get to light up Sanford yet again. Let's see. Records in the season coming in. So the Dogs are 5-0, 2-0 in the SEC. Same with Kentucky. So same record overall and in the conference. Georgia still number one in both polls. Kentucky comes in ranked. So now a top 20 matchup. They are number 20 in the AP and coaches poll, which I think it was kind of weird that they weren't ranked already before they beat Florida, but that's neither here nor there. Game is on ESPN. Sean McDonough, play-by-play analyst is Greg McElroy with Molly McGrath on the sideline. And the official hashtag that we will forget to use is UK versus UGA. All-time series record, man, we own this one. The Dogs are 62-12-2 all-time against Kentucky. And the last meeting last year, if you'll recall, was like in the freezing cold, 16-6 game. And last time I checked, Mike Bobo was not the offensive coordinator in that game. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Seriously, I don't know. It's foreshadowing. Let's just say that. I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then the weather. So we'll be determining the baseball pullover. Low of 56, high of 79. So it claims it's not going to get up to 80, John, but we'll see.
That feels like is what I'm looking for, Joe.
Fair.
The humidity right now has been brutal because, as you know, I was in Charlotte. We were in Asheville for a while, and coming down to reality here in Georgia, the humidity is still very much around.
Yeah. I hear you. All right. Well, I don't know, John, if you have do you have the fun facts? Do you have any fun facts for us on Kentucky this week?
I have some fun facts.
Okay.
Okay, so all right, let's see. Let's start. Famous alumni is the easy one. Can you name some famous alumni?
I mean, like I could run through a bunch of basketball players. So the person who I always think of, but I don't know if she actually went there or not, though, is Ashley Judd, because she's always at the basketball games. But did she?
She did.
Okay.
She graduated with a bachelor's degree. I don't know what year it was. I think I have it up here somewhere. But yes, Ashley Judd is an alumna of Kentucky.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so I got at least one.
You did do it at least one. There's a bunch of different random folks, like you said, like obviously like Randall Cobb, like football players, like there's Jared Lorenzen, all those guys.
R.I.P.
Like,
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Hefty Lefty.
R.I.P. Hefty Lefty. But then you've also got like some other, like I was trying to think of like what are some notable folks that we might recognize,
Mhm.
that you wouldn't necessarily have thought.
Right.
The only one on the list that I was reading, that I don't have any Lionel Richie ones where it's like they got the honorary one,
Right. Right.
but Miss Elizabeth,
Oh, no way.
does that name ring a bell?
Yes. Yes. So she was, in the wrestling world, she was the Macho Man's, I don't know, squeeze, whatever you want to say.
Yes,
Right. She
yeah,
was always on his
she was
arm.
his wife.
Yeah. I was in real life too. I forgot that.
Yes, yeah. Miss Elizabeth is an alumnus of Kentucky.
You want to go off the rails really quick, John?
Let's go off the
When
rails.
I was in high school, my friends and I, so like I graduated in 1998, so pro wrestling was kind of in like a resurgence at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
that was when Goldberg was huge and everything. So, anyways, my friends and I, we all like everyone was like we all had a nickname that just went along with a wrestler or whatever, and I was Macho Man. And like my girlfriend at the
Please.
time, people started calling her Miss Elizabeth. It was hilarious.
Ah, I thought you were gonna go. I thought you were gonna say Kim. Kim is known as Miss Elizabeth now.
Yeah, no, no, no. We went to high school together.
Right.
Uh,
I'm gonna pretend. I'm gonna pretend she's still Miss Elizabeth.
too good.
I'm
Okay,
gonna have
back
to.
on the rails.
I'm
Sorry.
gonna have to. You and AB are gonna have to do a little Macho Man elbow drop on those trash cans this
Watch
weekend.
out! Watch out for the trash cans this weekend. Hopefully, the trash cans can stay safe.
Right.
If you know,
Ah,
you know. Okay, sorry. Back on the rails. Continue.
good times, good times. Yeah, we had another plan for the Kentucky game, but we had to kind of pivot here last minute. So not a huge list of fun facts. You know, Kentucky dates its history all the way back to 1865. It was a land grant university. It was founded as Transylvania University, but eventually, as many schools end up doing, that they changed to State University, and then eventually, they in 1916 finally changed the name to the University of Kentucky. Um, they actually have three mascots. They have the Wildcat, which is they actually have a live mascot that resides elsewhere and is like run by the agricultural, whatever the parks folks, like the people that manage the animals. And he lives off site, I believe over in Frankfurt or something like that.
Okay.
But then they also have the Wildcat that is that in human form. Um,
Right.
it's a guy in a costume, right?
Mhm.
And then beyond that, there's another mascot named Scratch, who I guess has a lesser known. You might see them both. But yeah, Scratch and the Wildcat are like they actually have three named mascots.
Interesting. I was not aware of Scratch.
I wasn't aware of Scratch either. Matter of fact, I was like, it's just like they have that Bobcat, and then they also have the one guy. But yeah, I was unaware of Scratch. Scratch is a mascot. There's actually some pictures of them both together at some of the football games and stuff. And like one of them looks like I don't know, like these guys here. You tell me. I'm going to send you a picture here so you can see what they look like. You tell me. Um,
My Googling just said that Scratch is a more child-friendly version of the Wildcat, and
Correct.
he wears his hat backwards and loves to
Yes.
have fun.
Uh-huh.
Oh, what a great description.
I don't really understand. I don't really understand what's the deal with that. But
I
you can take a look at the picture. It's like, yeah, it's like it doesn't look like his kid. It also doesn't look like a wildcat at
No, yeah,
all.
they look nothing alike.
Yeah. So I picture like the wildcat as like if you took like a cat Beanie Baby and just supersized it.
Right, right.
It looks like a giant Beanie Baby.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I guess we could chalk it up to kind of like Hairy Dog and Spike, although yeah,
Spike is
Spike
way
is
cooler.
inflatable, but
Yes. Spike is way cooler.
Then
Also,
Scratch.
yeah, in my opinion, because
Agreed.
whenever the inflatable mascots like get involved, like they like fall down and go upside down and start bouncing around.
Yes.
That just cracks me up inside every time I see that.
Agreed. I love when Spike jumps on his head.
Yes, he just starts running around on his head. Let's see other fun facts. Here's one that might trip up some folks out there. What is the official state beverage of the University or of Kentucky?
Mm. So it's not bourbon.
I don't know. Is that your final answer?
I mean, I'm just gonna say that. I'm sure that's
No,
not it.
it is not bourbon, Jim.
Okay.
The official beverage of Kentucky is. I've never heard of this before. Maybe we need to find some. If anybody's coming in from Kentucky, it is Ale 8-1 soft drink.
Never heard of it. Ale
I've
eight
never,
one.
yeah, I've never heard of it either. But it appears to be like a ginger beer type beverage.
Okay. Got it.
It's the original soft drink of Kentucky. It's actually fairly new as the quote unquote official drink. It was proclaimed as such in 2001, which one would argue that bourbon was was way more established than this particular beverage.
I guess that's more kid friendly, kind of like Scratch.
Right, it's more kid friendly. It seems like that they're trying to be more kid friendly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it appears to be like a ginger ale type beverage.
Okay. Interesting. Never heard of it.
Never heard of it either.
Now I kind of gotta try it though.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I kind of want to try some. Um, it is. It looks very similar to, like I said, like some kind of random ginger ale. I actually got some ginger beer, um, this past weekend to have, and I also had some left over to take. So I'm hoping to have some Kentucky Mules, when we're in town for the tailgate as well. So I do have some ginger beer for us to have some Kentucky Mules.
Nice. I was gonna say that does make sense for at least you can make Kentucky Mules with the Ale 8. So I guess it makes sense from that lens.
Correct. So we'll have like an Ale 8-ish type beverage at the tailgate.
Right. Right. Nice. Nice.
Let's see here. No other fun facts. I think that the last episode we talked about the the whole bourbon situation. Like I think that my beverage last time around was an Evan Williams single barrel, if I remember correctly, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was allegedly the first commercial distillery in the country was Evan Williams.
Gotcha.
In my subsequent research for this game, Jason Hasty, maybe you can get on it for us, give some history here. But it sounds like that there was actually some debate on whether or not that was factually true, because I guess apparently Evan Williams didn't like actually enter the United States until like 1784 or something like that.
Mm.
But what I'm going to go with,
I like how you've assigned bourbon history to Jason Hasty now too.
well, he's the
historian.
He's the historian. More on that later. But yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to harken it back to our favorite distillery, Buffalo Trace Distillery.
Mm-hmm.
The first commercial distillery that they had that's tied to Buffalo Trace was 1858. The distillery was acquired by famed bourbon Colonel E.H. Taylor, who is famed and referred to as the father of the modern bourbon industry. That's E.H. Taylor. So maybe we're gonna have to try to find it and get some E.H. Taylor for the Kentucky game. But either way, like pretty much any bourbon will do for this game. You could go with Blanton's and the Kentucky, horse. They're famous for their horse racing. You can go with the Blantons with their little ponies on the top. But yeah, other than that, Kentucky is one of 8 universities in the United States that has colleges of agriculture, engineering, medicine, and pharmacy on the single campus.
Interesting.
Yes.
Nice.
That's a fun fact for you.
Nice. Cool. All right. JP's fun facts. Fun as always. I was just going to add some matchup stuff. So we're in the midst of a record 13 straight wins over these guys. So that's the longest streak we've ever had over them. And let's see what we're in the midst of. We're now up to 22 straight wins period. And then we're also on a 22 game home win streak. So overall win streak and home streak up to 22. All right, let's see. News
we've got a few streaks to keep up.
Yes, for sure. Let's see. News and notes. So the Vanderbilt kickoff time was announced. It's at noon. It's a nooner, but on CBS. So CBS has a doubleheader next week. Not the normal 3:30 and the night game doubleheader, but a nooner and 3:30 doubleheader. So that's when that matchup will be at Vanderbilt next week. Nooner, 11 central local time there. And then
wait, so does that mean that we're the prime time since we're
no, yeah, no. We'll have the backup. We'll have the second team broadcast crew. So then Kirby's press conference, I mean, the biggest thing was the presence of Mark Richt. So if you missed that, definitely go check it out. So Mark Richt came to join the press conference to announce the Chick-fil-A Dog Bowl, which is going to be like a bowling contest to raise money to fight Parkinson's and Crohn's disease. So we all know Richt has, announced that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and his granddaughter has Crohn's. So family affair there, to raise money for a great charity. Also, Richt was hilarious, because he had an exchange with Kirby around, I guess, the prize that the winners get. And I think through the way the various teams work, there's going to be players working in it. And Kirby asked that they're going to get like a wrestling belt. So back to the wrestling, John, again. And Kirby asked if a Georgia player would get a belt. And Coach Richt said yes. And then said that, back in my day, they would have got suspended for 2 games because they would have been polite and told the truth. And then what did he say? He said, if I could go back and do it again, I would say lie and deny.
Lie and deny. Yeah. Which I thought was interesting. Like, that was out of character for Mark Richt. I feel like it's probably like one of those things where, like, Kirby says one thing in the thing, and then he's like, my wife is not gonna be happy. She wasn't too happy with me about that one. Like, I feel like Mrs. Richt is not gonna be happy about him.
Exactly. I thought that was pretty funny. It's like, it's Grandpa Richt letting it all flow now. It's amazing.
Yes. I have to say, like, Mark Richt is a national treasure that we need to protect for the end of time.
For sure. So the only thing that Kirby said that I really picked up on to relay was he got a question about Lawson Lucky and Pierce Spurlin and on their health, and could they have played against Auburn? And he said, could they have played? Yeah, they could have played. If they're better than Oscar and Brock, I mean, I don't know what you want us to do. Y'all want to take Brock Bowers out and put one of them in? Anyone voting on that? I mean, if you vote that, you're not a coach. But yeah, they're cleared. They're not where they need to be physically and mentally to play SEC play. So I guess
physically and mentally,
yeah,
he threw that out there.
Yeah. So I guess every once in a while something riles up Kirby. I guess that's what he. I didn't listen to it, so reading it sounded funny. I don't know how animated he got saying it, but
I can see him saying it every. I can hear him saying everything that you just said.
Right. Yeah. Same. I didn't look at anything. I had intended to go check if there's anything from Stoops' press conference, but full disclosure, didn't get much there. But coached by Mark Stoops, been there for a while. We kind of know what the kind of program he runs, and what he's looking to do, which is kind of they've kind of been like Georgia light, I would say, since he's been there. They try to do basically what we do, really has been their MO, to play physical football, kind of built off the line of scrimmage, although they really play ball control. And we've seen that, over the years. So, all right. Why don't we do what we usually do, John? So let's talk about what we're looking for when Georgia has the ball. So some players of note for Kentucky, defensive back Maxwell Hairston. He is tied for second in the SEC with 3 interceptions. He also leads Kentucky with 25 solo and 33 total tackles. He also had 2 pick sixes against Vanderbilt 2 weeks ago. Then linebacker Trevin Wallace is their second leading tackler. He's got an interception as well, and is leads the team with 3.5 sacks. And then defensive lineman Deion Walker, 14 total tackles and 2.5 sacks. Dude is huge. I believe he wears the number 0. So he's their version of the Big O on the defensive line. That's Deion Walker. For us though, a couple of things I wanted to call out, John. Carson Beck is actually second in the SEC in passing yards, behind only Jaden Daniels of LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And then a fun thing I saw on Twitter today from Jonathan Williams. He's one of the co-hosts of the Classic City Sports podcast, around Brock Bowers and the current pace he's on. He said if Brock Bowers stays on the pace he's on, he would finish the season with the second most career receiving yards at Georgia, break the single season Georgia receiving yard record, break the single season UGA reception record, and finish with the most career receiving yards by a tight end in college football history in just 3 years. So just to point out kind of the tear that the Brock's on.
I'm starting to think that this Brock Bowers fella is pretty good at the at the old foosball.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you've watched of them. And like looking with their defense. I mean, I watched a good bit of the Florida game last weekend. And I watched a little bit of Vanderbilt. Tough to say with Vanderbilt. I mean, like Kentucky's defense looked lights out against Vanderbilt, right? I felt like they looked okay against Florida. They really they jumped on Florida early, and then Florida was kind of trying to play catch up. So they kind of got Florida's offense in a hole, right? And Florida was having to try to play catch up the whole time.
So they've only played Florida and Vanderbilt, right?
That's their 2 conference foes. Yeah, were Florida and Vanderbilt. I mean, everyone wants to talk about Georgia's poor schedule. We do have a common opponent. So they also played Ball State. They played Ball State the week before we did, but they played Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, and Akron is their 3 non-conference foes. And then Vanderbilt and Florida. So, I mean, honestly, both of these, their schedules, I would say, lines up pretty well with ours. I would say ours is even more difficult, personally, but.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that assessment. Yeah, so Georgia's offense is going to be the most prolific offense that they've faced, basically, because if they've played Vanderbilt and they played Florida, both of them are 9 and 10 in total offense in the SEC. Not to be outdone, Georgia has only played Auburn, which is ranked 13th offense, which we talked about that last week. Yeah. But we have played an offense similar to them, South Carolina. So South Carolina is ranked 7th, Kentucky's ranked 8th, Florida's ranked 9th, and Vanderbilt's ranked 10th. So they're all in there from an offensive standpoint. But from an offensive standpoint for Georgia, I think for us, they haven't played anything like us yet from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like what I'm wondering, what I'm going to be watching for is what do we do to start here? Like, do we do what we've seen us do with all the short lateral stuff, or do we get vertical early? I know, like when we were talking about in the Auburn review, like that was kind of your question of like things seem to open up when we get the ball downfield, right? So game 2 for Ladd back now. What do we see from there? Are we still seeing him running the underneath routes? Do we see Ladd attempt to go deep? And the other thing I'll say too, like I know you were questioning like targets, I guess, right, for like Rah and Lovett. And like I agree to an extent, but I would also say any target to anyone not named Brock Bowers is a target not to Brock Bowers. So I don't know how much room there is to increase other people's targets. Honestly, that's my only question there. So I don't know, man. Beck's having a good year. I mean, he's like I said, second in SEC in passing yards. I felt like he was, I mean, super confident against Auburn. Like the way he stood there in the pocket. I mean, he was slinging the ball, especially in the second half. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from if we're looking at this from a Georgia offense standpoint, something that sticks out to me is, when you look at the takeaways. So a couple of interesting stats for their defense, right?
Mhm.
Um, so Auburn was ranked number 4 in interceptions. Georgia, incidentally, is ranked number 1 in the SEC for interceptions.
Okay.
We have 8 interceptions on the season. Kentucky has 5, so they're averaging at least 1 interception a game. Georgia's averaging 1.6. Auburn was averaging 1.2, so you saw how that worked out for them. What is more interesting is that their scoring defense. Kentucky actually has a pretty decent scoring defense as well. It
Yeah.
seems like that they are basically built to stop the run, from everything that I've kind of seen overall. But
Yeah.
they are susceptible to the pass.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
they're giving up what, like 15.2 points a game, although that is overall. So they gave up, I think it's like 21 points a game in the league because they gave up 14 to Florida and 28 to Vanderbilt, just for what it's worth.
right. Yeah. Georgia's averaging 13 points, scoring defense, and Kentucky's averaging 15.2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, rushing defense, basically, Missouri and Kentucky are roughly tied. Kentucky's allowing 75.8 yards per rush, which is not going to bode well for us. Like I said, we had trouble moving the ball on Auburn, and they're ranked below us. They're ranked 8th in the conference at 128 yards per game. And we struggled with them even.
Yeah, I was say, do you think, I mean, I don't know, do you think we can run on these guys? Like,
No, I don't think I don't think we're going to be able to run on them at all.
do you think Carson Beck's gonna need to air it out a bit?
I think that we're going to have to figure out what we're doing on offense a lot quicker. Well, I guess I shouldn't say a lot quicker, because on average, Georgia's holding the ball a lot longer than Kentucky is. They're kind of, well, and then I think some of the listener questions were asking some stuff about that, but like,
Yeah.
when Kentucky has the ball, are they going to try to grind out the clock, that kind of thing?
Right.
Which I think is probably true. I mean, based on their performance last week, they would be remiss to not try to do that.
They're definitely gonna try to do that. That's what they do.
I just don't know that. It'll be interesting to see how we answer that. So part of our problem last week was that, number one, we couldn't set the edge, which that's certainly something I'll be looking for on our defensive side. But like, that's what they're going to do, right? They're going to try to ground it. And if we try to do that, I feel like it's going to be running right into the teeth of their defense. So I'm hoping that we'll start to see, like, I think Graham posted in some of his analysis, on the gap versus what is it,
Mm,
gap versus zone schemes, and how we performed there, and
yeah.
how we performed going around certain personnel. And it seems like that we should have been doing more of the sweeps, right? Like,
Yeah.
those seem like that they've been working when we're attacking the edge. But the Bobo haters are probably not going to be too happy about us trying to run the ball up the middle, which seems like that's going to go right in and play right into Kentucky's strengths.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that I'm okay. You should expect Georgia fan to see some poking and prodding on the run game. They're not just going to completely abandon it, regardless of how Kentucky's good at stopping it. But my hope is that they'll. I mean, if they are going to show that they are going to give up yards through the air, that we'll just take what the defense gives us.
Yeah. Amen. Man, we're like back to season one of My God a Podcast, John. Take what the defense gives you. But I mean, that's the way to
Yeah,
go.
seriously, that's the way to go. I mean, like, if they're going to let Brock Bowers run around in the secondary, you might as well throw it to him, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This does feel like a throw to set up the run kind of game to me. So That's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm expecting. What I'm more curious of is how exactly do we try to do that? Are we doing the short lateral stuff? I'd like to kind of see us go over the middle and like down the seam personally. I don't know. What could this be the game where Carson Beck hits that deep shot, connects with one of those people streaking down the middle? Had some close misses there, so I'll be watching for that too.
Yeah, I mean, you like our chances there. Like if you're looking for Georgia to push the ball down the field, Kentucky has a worse passing total defense or a worse passing defense than Auburn did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's going to be opportunities for us to push that ball down the field.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you got anything else in the offense?
The only other thing on the offense that I guess it kind of counts, right? Something that I noticed when I was poking around on some of the stats. Where was it? Hang on, I'm pulling it up right here. Yeah, Kentucky. Kentucky is currently tied for first with fumbles recovered. They're recovering 67% of their fumbles, which seems like ungodly high.
They're
Yeah,
recovering 67% of fumbles they force on defense.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, of opponent fumbles.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that feels like a lot of turnover luck.
A lot. Yeah. So I say that, like I mentioned the interceptions, I mentioned the fumble recovery here. Georgia currently has 0 fumbles recovered.
Yeah. Yep.
So the regression to the mean, all those kinds of things, plays out over bigger data sets. Anyway, they seem like that they've been fortunate. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that I guess to close out on the offense, let's protect the football. This is a much better football team than Auburn, and we don't need to give them hope with silly turnovers like we had against Auburn. So,
Yeah, agreed.
all right. Well, before we move into the defense, why don't we take a moment to remind everyone that season 4 of My Gotta Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. So Oxia Time is a Swiss watch company. They make custom Swiss watches, and you've got to check out their 2021 and 2022 Georgia National Championship watch collection. And we're here recording on Monday night, and today there is actually just a big announcement. There is now a partnership between Classic City Collective and Oxia Time. So you can find information about this on the Classic City Collective's website. We'll put it in the show notes as well. But if you go over to classiccitycollective.com and go to their store, there is a link to timepieces. So there are, I believe it's 25 Oxia timepieces that are coming out there. We've mentioned the presentation box here, but this presentation box with these 25 timepieces are signed by Kirby Smart. So it's going to be a limited edition run with, again, a presentation box signed by Coach Smart. A portion of the proceeds sales on those also go to Bulldogs battling breast cancer. And reminder, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month this month of October. So again, be sure to go check them out. You can see those exclusively at classiccitycollective.com, or you can always head over to oxiatime.com as well. That's AXIATIME.com. And over there, again, you can use the code MyGottaPodcast to get one of those presentation boxes with your watch as well. That one won't be signed by Kirby though. So
you're gonna be rocking your Oxia timepiece this weekend, right?
Oh yeah. I will. We'll have it on campus. If you see, Rambo, if you see us with our hat on, the watch, if you see the hat and the watch is us.
Yeah, you gotta flash the watch. I'm not wearing mine right now, but you've gotta check the watch. We'll be walking around like Wayne's World, the backstage passes. Like, where's my watch?
Love it. All right, so let's talk about the Georgia defense, the Kentucky offense. So when Kentucky has the ball, again, players to watch out for from Kentucky. So their quarterback is Devin Leary. He is a transfer from NC State. So this is his first year at Kentucky. This season, he's 82 of 142. That's a 57% completion percentage for 1,129 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 5 picks. Their leading receiver is Tavion Robinson, 19 catches, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns. Another transfer, although he transferred last year. So he was there last year, but he started his career at Virginia Tech. Then the big one, the SEC's leading rusher, Ray Davis, running back, 76 carries for 594 yards and 8 touchdowns. I will add, though, 280 of those rushing yards were last week against Florida. Yeah. But so, we played him last year, although he was running behind the Vanderbilt offensive line. Little bit different, I suppose. So, I mean, I guess I'd say we'll have our hands full with that rushing attack. John, we talked in the Auburn review about like kind of the differences of this Georgia defense versus others. The way we used to say, like, is anyone ever going to score a rushing touchdown, et cetera. I know in seasons past, it would be like, week by week, Georgia kept facing the SEC's leading rusher, right? Who was, the kind of the flavor of the month, and we'd shut him down. Man, I'd love for that to be the case on Saturday.
Right. I don't know, man. All right, so here's some cold water to kind of throw on this. So I was talking about Georgia's, their rank from an offensive yards per game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's technically more yards per game than Kentucky, but if you were to break this down to a yards per play, that's one of those advanced stats, right? Like this isn't like Chapel Bell Curve, or I'm talking to dog stats here, dog quant, but like, I've dabbled. Yards per play is a pretty indicative metric of how efficient the offense is running, right?
Right.
Kentucky currently ranks number 3 at 7.19 yards per play.
Okay.
Georgia ranks 4th at 6.89 yards per play.
Is that the defense on yards per play? You're talking about the Georgia offense?
I'm talking about the Georgia offense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, if you married it that way, Kentucky 7.9 yards per play on offense.
Yeah.
On the defensive side, Georgia is giving up 4.42 yards per play.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was looking at a couple of things there. I mean, like, on the points per game, Georgia is first in the SEC in points per game allowed on defense.
Wait, what? Say that again. Say it louder for the 44E.
The Georgia defense leads the SEC in scoring, allowing only 13 points per game. That is good for first defensively in the conference.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the offense. Sorry.
So I don't know, man. Like, it's, again, traditionally when you're playing these guys, you're like, it's good on good, right? Like, it's Kentucky is good at running the ball. Georgia is good at stopping the run. Georgia is like a little bit further down. So we're we're 5th in the SEC in rushing yards a game allowed. So thus far in the season, where Georgia defense is allowing 113 yards rushing per game. So, not first, not kind of like holding everyone under to 100 yards rushing a game, but not down there near the bottom either. So we're gonna have to. We can't do what we did against Auburn. We're gonna have to set a good edge. But I will say, like, the way Kentucky runs the ball is very different from the way Auburn runs the ball. They're not, as big of a zone read. Like, they're more. I'm not saying they don't run any, but they're more of a straight handoff team.
Right. Which I'm hoping will be a welcome respite for our defense to have, to not have that option for the quarterback to pull it and run.
Yeah. And again, like, like I said against Auburn, not to keep harping on that, but like, I was so shocked that we couldn't shut down a one-dimensional team.
Right.
But it was I guess, not traditional one-dimensional team, maybe you could say. And then the other thing is to, like, a lot of that rushing came off of the 61-yard kind of bust. with the quarterback
Right.
run. So here, I will say, like, again, from what I've watched at Kentucky, the quarterback doesn't impress me big time. I mean, he threw what should have been an easy pick six to Florida, and the defensive back dropped it. So I don't know. I like our secondary. I like our chances when they're putting the ball in the air. I don't know. I look for Tyke Smith and company to be ball hawks there.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that.
Okay. All right. I don't know. Do you got anything else on the defense and their offense?
I mean, it's more so just a combination of the two, and maybe this is more attuned for like the final thoughts on the matchup. But like, I mean, I go back to that yards per play metric, for offense and for defense.
Yeah.
Kentucky's averaging over 7 yards per play on offense. Georgia's averaging 6.89. You go back and look at the defense yards per play. Georgia's averaging 4.42 yards per play, and Kentucky's averaging 4.56.
Yeah.
Knowing those numbers, what do you think that might indicate?
I mean, it sounds like pretty evenly matched.
It sounds like a pretty evenly matched teams from a statistical standpoint.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some disparity on those teams from that we've played, and it's also fairly small, sample sizes. But you look at the common opponents, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, or not common opponents that we've played, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
eventually. Yeah.
like I would compare Vandy to South Carolina from a total defense, from a defensive yards perspective. Florida and Auburn are pretty much dead even in terms of what their defense was producing from a yards per play.
Mm-hmm.
And then from an offense standpoint, Florida and South Carolina are pretty much dead even. And then you look at Auburn and Vanderbilt are pretty much dead even. Vanderbilt slightly better from a yards per play from offense. So like, we've kind of faced, from a yards per play standpoint, we've kind of faced similar competition to these guys. And it's ultimately just going to come down to, who's going to show up to play, like which team decides it wants to play. You like Georgia, you like Georgia's opportunities at night.
Yeah.
You mentioned and alluded to some dropped opportunities, like the dropped interception from Florida. I have a feeling that Georgia's not going to capitalize, or that Georgia is going to capitalize on those opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, top 20 matchup under the lights, with a long day of tailgating leading up to it. If you catch my drift, John, the stadium's gonna be rocking. It's gonna be loud. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for them to operate.
Do you think the Georgia fans are gonna get up and pound some beers?
The beer will be flowing like wine, and the bourbon.
Yes.
All right, I did some special teams research, John.
Okay.
So
do they have an Aussie punter?
Yes. Fine. We'll just skip it. We'll go straight to it. That was fine.
We should just refer to this as the Aussie punter segment.
I mean, you're going to be shocked to know that their Aussie punter is from Pro Kick Australia.
Golly, these guys, I swear.
Okay, it gets better. Okay, so on the field, he is averaging 45.7 yards per punt. So this guy is good. So John, if he booms one, I don't want you saying I didn't mention it in the preview, because I did.
Okay.
However, this guy, he's 26 years old. Okay. Cause these guys are older. This is a 26-year-old man. He is married and has a kid. Okay.
Nice.
His nickname is Bangers.
Bangers.
And I found an article when he described it, and this is what he said when he asked about his nickname. He said, when you hear a good song, you say that's a banger. I was on a footy trip, John, you get that reference. I was on a footy trip, and we were on a bit of a party bus. I was at the front of the bus, and I had control of the tunes. Someone was like, that's a banger. and it has just rolled on since then. And he said that's also my Instagram handle if anyone wants to follow it. So apparently he's bangers of some sort on Instagram. And then he got asked if in this article if he was gonna get a chance to be on front of a Kentucky football party bus controlling the tunes, and he said, "I sure hope so, and hopefully Coach Stoops is giving us all some bourbon as well." So
Ooh.
kind of like this guy.
Kind of like this guy. Yeah, these the Australian people that I know, they're no joke, man.
So okay, so that's it on the Aussie punter. Their kicker is Alex Rayner. He's 23 of 24 on extra points on the season. I believe Florida blocked one, from what I recall. But he is 6 of 6 on field goals, so he has not missed a field goal attempt this season.
Fun fact: Alex Rayner went to a local high school here in our backyard.
I missed that. Where'd he go?
He went to Harrison High School.
Okay.
I know this because my daughter knows his brother, who is currently playing lacrosse at Harrison.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah, former soccer player turned kicker. Shocking. But yes, Alex Rayner. I know that only because my daughter shouted out when she saw Alex Rayner kicking field goal in the last game last weekend before the Georgia game. We were watching the Kentucky play, and she said she heard his name. She goes, "Oh, that's my friend's brother."
That's funny. That's too funny. Okay, I've got one more special teams thing. I have a trivia question for you. Who is the leader in the SEC in average return yards per kickoff returned?
In average
yards per kickoff return. Kickoff return average. Who's the leader in the SEC?
Is it Mekhi Muse?
It's the official receiver of My God a Podcast. One Mekhi Muse. So nice. he doesn't lead in total kickoff return yards, but he does lead in kickoff return average. He's averaging like 29 yards per kickoff return. So that was pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah. You sure it's not Mekhi Muse?
Don't ask Brad Nessler how to pronounce his name. Holy cow.
I see that Kentucky actually leads the Southeastern Conference in kickoff returns. They're averaging 30 yards a return. So how's that work?
That's out? Their average 30 yards. That must be something. No, I don't know what that is. Kickoff average. I do see that. Yeah, that is returning. That's team, but as an individual, it's Mekhi. If you look at individuals, it's Mekhi.
Well, I'm going to throw that stat out there too, to throw some cold water. Again, I'm throwing out these numbers to highlight Georgia is ranked number 2. Kentucky is ranked number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. Like, kick the ball out of the end zone. Can we please do that? Like, can we I don't know why
do that.
We have been messing around with that a bit. I joked to my dad against UAB. It felt like we needed to practice kickoff coverage or something when we were kicking them short. But then like it's continued, and we did it a couple of times against Auburn. So I don't know, man. Zirkle is capable of kicking it out of the end zone. I just do it every time.
Yes,
the touchback is a powerful thing.
I'm going to give you some other numbers here to underscore that for me, when I look at this game, and I hope I don't get like a waiting since last Saturday Scott Duvall moment here, but like I see such a even matchup in the things that I see. Obviously they're different, but like the punting. So average punt for Kentucky or for Georgia is 44 yards. Average punt for Kentucky is 42.63. They're ranked 7th and 8th respectively in the SEC in punting. Yards per game, 140 yards, 136 yards, total punts per game, 3.2 and 3.2. There is one metric that we have not discussed that these two teams are diametrically opposed on. So I've talked a lot about the similarities, and there's one particular metric that they do not match up well on at all.
I don't know what it is. You're gonna have to just tell me, John.
You just talked about it. Field goals.
Okay.
They have not missed a single field goal all season long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Georgia
Yeah.
currently ranks 14th in the SEC in that particular metric.
Yeah. I told you. Yeah. He's their kicker is 6 of 6.
Yeah.
But payday. I don't know. I'll say this. They've been blowing everybody out. I don't know that he's had to kick a pressure kick yet, and Payday made 2 of them last week. So for what it's worth.
Got it.
All right.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying them's the numbers.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can give the numbers. I can respond. Oh man. All right, let's do the listener questions. So as every week, our listener questions are brought to you by Working Web Media. So we've mentioned, we weren't super happy with our old website and we wanted to redesign it, and we worked with Working Web Media to do that for us. So you can definitely go check out our newly redesigned website, mygodapodcast.com. Much better design flow and a new merch store as well, so you can see all of our merch. We got hats, t-shirts, etc. up there. But if you need help, if you got a small business, you need help with your website or even just your online presence, they can help you with social media marketing as well. Go check them out at workingwebmedia.com/dogs, and then they will know that we sent you their way. All right, JP, first up, Alex Garnto, big game in the SEC East against Auburn. Against Auburn, Bowers and Delp lined up in the backfield at the same time. Could this be the game Bowers throws a pass? Hashtag mama, there goes that man. Go Dogs. So I think I said it wrong in the review, because I think that was the one I was talking about. Maybe it wasn't. There was one with 3 backs at one point. There were 3 backs plus the quarterback. So I'm not sure if that was it or not. But yeah, they definitely did that. I'm gonna say no. I don't think this is the game where we're getting into the trick play stuff to get Bowers Heisman status. Not this Kentucky team, personally.
I don't think that Bowers is going to be throwing balls. He's much better at running past hapless secondary defenders.
Agreed. All right. This is the Munsoning segment. We need a sponsor that Munsoning segment is brought to you by.
Brought to you by, I don't know. Brought to you by the Clearview Insurance.
Nice.
Not a sponsor quite yet.
Oh man. All right. So let's see. John Michael D, Atlanta Sean, and Rambo, they're all Munsoning. So John Michael D said, is Munsoning still dead? Asking for a friend. Let's see. So Atlanta Sean said, I found this grenade with the word panic on the side of it. Should I pull the pin or what? And Rambo wants to know who else is nervous. I don't know. I mean, John, you've been pointing out the similarities of these teams. This is the best team we've played. They're a good team.
I would say composure, moment by moment, connection, and what was the other one that he says he likes to say?
There's toughness, resiliency, composure,
resiliency, yes,
connection, yeah.
I mean, I'll say it to the same thing that I told Carter, like why are you so calm? And I just think that they'll figure it out. I think all things being equal, like you look at it from a statistical standpoint, like everything lines up to be a pretty even matchup from where I sit. They both have their strengths and weaknesses and things that we could potentially exploit to get an edge. The disparity there is kicking. I'd like to think that we're not going to get into a pressure situation where we've got to make a kick to win a game, but it's possible. You give Kentucky the nod there, but I give Georgia the nod in the overall coaching. And then more importantly, I give Georgia the nod in the Jimmys and Joes arena as well. Coaching and personnel are going to win the day, I would say 95% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, my thing on the Munsoning is it's like, at this point, I like, what's the benefit? Like, what are you going to get out of worrying so much leading up to it? That's part of it for me too. Is it's like I'm over all the worrying in the lead up. I'm gonna enjoy watching my team play football. Now, that's not to say that I don't freak out during the games. John, you can attest to this. I text you things during the game. Like, yeah, I mean, we all do. But
And
I don't
you
know. I would say I'm still even on that note. I'm a lot more calm than I used to be,
can you hit
even in
him?
game.
Do we have the soundboard
Mhm.
operational? Do we
Yeah,
have the Cedric Van Pran hit him with it?
this Cedric.
1980 who?
Oh, I need to add that. That was that was Jamari Salyer. But yeah,
Oh,
I do
Salier, sorry.
I do need to have that. Yeah, I'll have to find that one. We'll have to
Trying to put glasses on it.
we'll have to put some glasses on it. I can find it. I know I have the video clip. I'll make a note for myself to
What was it? 1980 who, dog?
Yeah, 1980 who, brother.
Brother, yeah.
Yeah, that's the opening cut in the Punk Tactics video that we made.
Yes, yes.
Cool. All right, let's see. 51-7 GATA. This was kind of funny. He said, seriously, am I the only one that was completely surprised by the fact an SEC school has a student acceptance rate above 93% in 2023? Never would have guessed that. So like, he had sent a graphic of like application acceptance rates amongst SEC schools, and Kentucky's was quite high. I had no idea. Honestly. Did you know that?
I was not aware of that. And as a father of a high school student, we have started to receive these letters coming in.
Yeah.
Dude, Mississippi State really wants my daughter to come to Mississippi State for some reason. I don't know. We've gotten like 2 or 3 letters from them seeking her attendance. Auburn today was the latest one, which is kind of ironic. I feel like that's like perfect timing. Like everybody's hyping up their atmosphere. Like, oh, quick, let's bombard Georgia with all these letters. Because they can't get in, right? They can't get into Georgia. They might as well come to Auburn.
Right.
Seems to be the operation there. Yeah, I don't know. Kentucky. Yeah, I was unaware of that. 93% sounds really high though.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I wonder how many applications they get. Yeah, I don't know. I was also shocked. I had no idea. All right,
I imagine there's worse places to go to school.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean it is beautiful up there. I haven't been for a while, but
I've actually never been.
Beautiful.
It's one of those
Really?
things like you talk about going to. I've never been.
Yeah, I went twice in college. Had a good time both times. It's a fun trip.
Excellent.
All right, let's see. We got some defensive personnel questions. So Fletcher Proctor, any words on the whereabouts of Marvin Jones Jr., Samuel Mpemba, or Damon Wilson? I was hoping for a bit more of from the outside linebackers. And then a couple other ones. Let's see. Dogfather JT also asked about Marvin Jones. How much more do we see 7, 12, so being Marvin Jones, Julian Humphrey, and 33 CJ Allen on the defense going forward? Sure looks like they earn more snaps. And I think we talked about these are some of the guys we talked about a little bit more. We talked about last episode as well, John. And then them dogs wanted to know, how do we help to support number 6? So any thoughts from you?
I mean, in Kirby we trust, especially when it comes to the defense, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I do think that at some point you got to give the young guys a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think we started to see more Marvin Jones against Auburn. I mean, I think the answer is with the way our coaches run, like, you got to show them in practice. You said the whole show me, right? Like, show me you're a 5-star. They're going to want you to do that in practice first. I promise they're putting the guys in the field that they feel give us the best chance to win. I think like part of Dogfather's question crossing with them dogs around Dalen Everett versus Julian Humphrey. A couple of things as far as like helping Everett out. Like I said, I actually felt like he played pretty well against Auburn. He had the huge pass breakup on the sideline. One thing, though, that I will say that I know Graham had pointed out a couple of weeks ago on something that our defense seems to have changed. We've talked about in the past, John, how like the way our defense typically runs is you've got a number 1 corner, but he's not necessarily lined up on the number 1 receiver, right? We usually had like a corner takes a side and stays on that side for the entire game. I think something Graham has noticed was that we've started putting Kamari Lassiter on the opponent's number 1 receiver. I don't know that we did that against Auburn, but I know we did that against South Carolina. So they basically second half put Kamari on Leggett to shut him down. So that's something that we can do, something we can do to help him out. And then the other thing is, I think it helps the entire secondary out having Javon Bullard back. So that's just going to happen naturally anyway.
I don't know. I just think that yeah, I got nothing else to add on that one.
Okay.
I would love to see more. I would love to see more of those guys, but I just don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like I just want to see. I want to wait and see what the coaches throw out there. There's a reason that there's a reason these guys are playing.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Few people asking about stopping the Kentucky run. Oh, actually, sorry, one more thing I forgot. Fletcher wanted to know if we're going to be at Stegmania, because he said not sure who will be the bigger visitor, Jeezy or Asa Newell. So Jeezy, the rapper, Asa Newell, a recruit, basketball recruit. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe he'll be there. So Fletcher, John and I are trying to figure out if we can go to Stegmania. Our understanding is it's for students only. So I've got a question out to John Bateman to see. So if we can go, maybe, but definitely not if it's only for students only, which is what we're hearing. So
if anybody knows Josh Brooks, you can talk to Coach White. Like, hey, let some old dudes in.
Yeah, seriously, love it.
I just want to hear Jeezy. Isn't it Jeezy this thing's put on for your city?
I think so. And like I feel so old, even though that's kind of an old song.
Dude, that's a banger. That's a banger.
Nice callback, as they say, JP.
Yes.
Oh man. All right, let's see. We got some folks asking about stopping Kentucky's run game. Actually, and this is a mixture of Kentucky run game and bourbon questions.
Yes.
So let's see. Friend of the show, Tim Riley. How do we manage the Kentucky run game? That defense against Auburn won't cut it with their running attack. And then Brett Belding said, we weren't built to stop the Auburn zone read clearly, but are we built to stop Kentucky's run game? Man, and then Brian Harrell, similar question around what's the best way to stop it. So, I guess we talked about that a little bit earlier. I'm sorry, Brett, if I kind of stole your thunder earlier when I mentioned like the whole zone read thing. I mean, I would agree. I mean, we definitely struggle with that. I do feel like the more natural, or I don't know, I guess traditional run game is hopefully easier to plan for. I don't know that Kentucky is taking the things they saw UAB and Auburn do and trying to use those against us, although I'm sure we'll anticipate those kind of things there. But yeah, I don't see like the zone read keeper happening so much here. One thing that Kirby did mention about Ray Davis is he actually compared him to Swift in just like having a lot of like one cut runs, where he puts his foot in the ground and heads up field like we used to see DeAndre Swift do. He's not as fast as Swift to me, but I guess that's something to watch out for, right? Like playing sound assignment football, staying in your lane and not letting this guy juke you. So
I would say that given that the Auburn running backs actually were held in check pretty solidly.
yeah,
I would say we're built to stop a more traditional run. Where we struggle with and where I feel like Kirby has struggled with in general. And if you go back to like those Alabama teams, when he was there, this team that he's built seems to struggle with mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And if you don't have a quarterback that's like particularly mobile, which I mean, technically Auburn didn't have that on paper from what I recall, but I mean, if you don't have zone reads, then that takes that option away. So,
yeah, I do think. I mean, we do have to. You still have to set the edge, but if they're not running the zone read, like that was our problem, right? It was like biting on the fake to the running back crashing down, right? So, and then the quarterback keeping it. Like that's what kept messing us up. So I don't think we'll see as much of that this week. Watch, they're gonna come out and run all zone read, John.
Right, seriously, just like we drew it up.
All right, so Tim wanted to know, what's your Kentucky bourbon of choice for game day on Saturday?
I've yet to make a decision.
Okay.
I have an
TBD.
idea. I have an idea, but I have yet to make a decision.
Okay. I have something that I don't want to talk about yet. We'll talk. We're gonna talk about it in the review.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. We'll leave it at that. And I'll give you a little a little teaser on this, John. There are multiple people listening to this who know what I'm talking about, but you don't.
Okay.
So we'll get that.
Okay.
Let's see. And then Brett wanted to know if you could only have one bourbon under $100 for the rest of your lives, what are you picking?
I'm gonna go with interpretation of question is $100 retail. Um,
Yeah, I think that's fair.
like
Yeah, yeah.
MSRP.
Yep.
I would go probably Weller 107.
Okay. I would say of the man, see, this is where like I don't have like my palate is not like I haven't experienced as many. I mean, isn't Blanton's under $100 MSRP, or am I wrong? Or is
Yeah,
it
it
over it?
should. Yeah, it should be. I mean, at the
I've only had it
airports,
once. I wouldn't pick that anyway. Like of what I tend to drink, man, like I could definitely drink Angel's Envy all the time, honestly.
it's a
Um,
solid.
yeah, I think I'll go with that.
I've evolved a little bit from my prior like my prior bourbon fandom. I tried to stay around 100 proof.
Hmm.
I'm okay going over 100 proof these days. So like Angel's Envy, I think is like 90 proof,
Yeah, it's
something
a
like
little
that.
lower. Yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
lower proof bourbons are great. They're super smooth. They're super easy to drink. I do think I have gotten to the point now where I notice that if I get a higher proof bourbon, yes, it packs a higher punch. Yes, it's like melt your face off right out of the bottle. For me, that's harsh, but you put a cube in it, let it cool down, and things get a lot different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, it gets a lot different when you're smoking cigars too, which by the way, we need to talk about that.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Ryder Hayes, do y'all think this game will kind of decide who this team is? Kentucky will hear all week that they can push us and run down our throats. Georgia will hear all week about how soft their run defense is. If we look similar to Auburn, South Carolina performances, is that just who we are? I mean, this does feel like definitely could be a statement game. Like what are you gonna do? Like we're hearing it, you're hearing it this week. This isn't the same Georgia defense, etc. Look at what Kentucky's doing. Look what Auburn did to you. I mean, that's got to be riding on these guys, I would think.
I mean, yeah, it's riding, but like you heard on the broadcast that Nazir Stackhouse called out the team for not playing up to the standard, and yet, I mean, I didn't. I felt like our defensive line got pushed around. So like,
Yeah,
I, I don't know, man. I said it on the last episode. I feel like that we've kind of our defensive like core has been shook this year with what I would classify as an unexpected departure of Barry Alexander, which I do think that he would have had an impact on this defense for sure. He's not there, so a lot of guys are having to get more quickly advanced in progressing through the program than I think the coaching staff would have liked on the line. Like you talk about, the football game is built on the lines, right? Like if you can't establish an edge, if you can't establish the run along the offensive line, get your passing, blocking set up. Like if you can't cover folks, then it's going to be a problem regardless. And I haven't quite gotten there yet, but I'm leaning towards this. I feel like that's just who we are this year, and I think that it's okay. Like it's just not what we're used to seeing, and I feel like that's one of those things that we've kind of been spoiled, is that we've just been used to these like nobody being able to move on us, but like we've proven that they can overcome it.
yeah,
So you just kind of have to let these kids grow up. And you and I talked about it on the last episode. Like you run through the roster, and it's like there's a lot of youth up there.
yeah. I mean, so on this, maybe is this defense who we are? I don't know. I mean, like leading the SEC with 13 points per game allowed. isn't so bad, right? So that's the one thing.
Right.
The only other thing I'll say, back to the Bear Alexander thing. I mean, last time I checked, he didn't start any games last year. Like we returned most of the starting defensive line outside Jalen Carter, who although was hurt for a good portion of last year. I mean, Tramel Walthour, Nazir Stackhouse, these guys had a lot of starts on their belt. And Warren Brinson has been playing really well. He's consistently been one of the highest graded players on the team from PFF. So I don't know, man.
The defenses, the reason I say that is that our past defenses, like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, they commanded attention along the line. There's no player currently on our defense that is commanding multiple defenders, that's commanding multiple, attention, that's commanding attention from the offense. Frankly, like by and large, they can basically just run their offense. Like there's no accounting for going on. And maybe like the whole, Jalen Walker and Michael Williams being hurt, maybe he's still coming back a little bit from that. Like maybe if we can get someone from the outside to start establishing themselves. Like we said, we've been missing that Adam Anderson factor from the outside and the Nolan Smith factor from the outside.
Yeah.
Those are hard. Those guys are hard to replace. And there's a reason that they're playing where they're playing now.
Yep. Fair. All right. Let's see. Coach Woodworth, how many, this is, you kind of hinted at this one earlier. How many possessions will Georgia get? Kentucky's run game may limit them. I will say we had 11 drives against Auburn, FYI, John. So I don't think, I could see it being less.
You said we had 11 drives against Auburn?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as limiting it, I could see it going down. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be insanely less, but I could see maybe we only have 10 or 9, something like that.
Yeah.
Although I think 2 of those, in a way, we had 9 full drives. I think 2 of those were actually, no, only 1. We took a knee to end the game, so there was only one kneel down drive.
You said we had 11 possessions.
Correct.
That's under the umbrella of we had a couple of like quick turnovers too.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're looking at the time of possession overall, Georgia is averaging 32 minutes. They rank they're tied for second in the SEC with 32 minutes, 6 seconds basically in time per game that they're holding the ball. Kentucky, by contrast, again, we're talking fractions here, but they've been holding the ball 27 minutes and 51 seconds.
It's actually less than us.
They're less than us. Yeah. That's why
interesting.
When I saw this stat, I wanted to go and look at the time of possession battles. So I guess that's another metric that we are disparate on is the time of possession. And I feel like that like, as much as it pains me to say it, like those runs up the gut that everybody hates that you hear about from Bobo, like part of the equation there is choking clock.
Yeah.
You may hate it, you may not love it, but it's part of the equation that this Georgia team has right now is that they're ranking very high in the conference in terms of time of possession. Auburn was averaging 30 minutes and 30 seconds time of possession as well. I didn't go back and look at what those time of possessions look like with the Auburn game, but I would say that we're probably looking pretty similar, like 10, 11 possessions.
Yeah.
Seems like a fair metric.
You convinced me. Also, reminder that running up the middle did not come out of nowhere this year. We always do that. Anyways,
right.
We gotta move on.
Yeah, I say that as a point of reference for all the Bobo haters.
Hey, you remind. I don't know.
I'm just looking to trigger people, just like if I put ketchup on a burger.
All right, next up, Bobby Wilson. The throws Beck was making on third down in the second half were elite and game-changing. I do believe he is very capable of taking this team to the SEC championship and playoffs. What do you guys think? What do you think? You think I'll say this. I don't see Carson Beck as being like holding this team back by any means. I think he's perfectly capable of taking this team where we hope it can go from what I've seen. He showed me a lot against Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of those games that I feel like that, he stepped up on, right? Like
Yeah.
he showed a lot in that game.
And the
Um,
demeanor too, right? Like I think, we made the joke, or you made the joke about like, he doesn't have like gifable moments, so to speak,
mhm.
right? Like he's not doing mic drops or whatever. But I don't know, man, like that demeanor, I feel like he was calm, collected. I don't think the road environment seemed to phase him, The whole team, something we didn't even talk about, like they're, in that crazy hostile environment at Auburn, zero false starts. So pretty impressive.
That's true. That actually didn't come up in our last game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, if I were to tell you that Carson Beck is currently ranked ahead of Jackson Dart preseason, if I had told you that Georgia was going to have a quarterback averaging more yards per game than Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, would you have taken that deal?
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. Yes, absolutely.
He's currently ranked number ninth in the country in yards per game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe that he is yeah, he's ranked eighth in overall total yards. He's got almost 1,500 yards passing currently. I don't know what that puts him at from an averages standpoint, like from a Georgia, single season situation. But like by
Mhm.
contrast, we've been talking about how Oregon's been beating people up, and Bo Nix is ranked 15th in total yards.
Got it.
Um,
Yeah.
Bo Nix is ranked below Carson Beck right now. I mean, there's, I mean, he's knocking on the door of Caleb Williams numbers.
Yeah. 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 It'd be nice.
So yeah,
Yeah.
he's currently ranked second in the SEC. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you'd have told
So
me that he was going to be second, number two in the SEC in passing, I think that we all would have taken that deal.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody, Dwight. How many times will the Georgia defense hear the words "eye discipline" and "set the edge" this week in practice, John?
Eye discipline and set the edge. Yes.
All the times. Take the
Um,
over, whatever it is.
I
That's
think
what I.
did we skip over Bobby's things? Like, what do we think that they need to improve on?
Oh yeah. What do you? Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah. Biggest items the squad has to improve on. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. And is there anything else we haven't already talked about there? If
I
there
mean,
is,
I
go for
think
it.
that setting the edge is what I'd like to like. I'm going to connect the two questions there. Like,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
definitely want to see us set the edge more. I was joking with Scott Duvall earlier today from waiting since last Saturday that I thought that UGA right now, like we couldn't set an edge if we paid a landscaper to do it for us. Like that's where we're at right now. Like seriously, dude. Like
Yeah.
our edges are awful. And it's been that way. I'd love to see some progress there. From an offensive standpoint, I just want to see some push, man. I don't want to see I don't want to see Carson Beck picking himself up off the ground after having a free rusher like completely light him up. I don't want to see multiple defenders in the backfield basically completely unblocked. I want to see consistency. I mean, it's just consistency on both of the lines of scrimmage. If this team could get consistent on offensive line and defensive line, literally every other problem that everyone is bitching about goes away. Sorry, Carter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And that's the thing. It's like you've seen it. We've seen it happen. I agree. It's just the consistency piece there. So all right. Let's see. Dwight also, what do you have? Oh yeah. Well, will we wear the black jerseys? And then he said, I know.
Yeah.
No, 0%. All right. UGA Hoops Mafia. He gave us a topic to discuss. Kentucky is currently on a losing streak to Georgia in men's basketball. Make sure to mention that. So, all-time record streak in football, but also streak in basketball. Okay, so this was interesting. He said also, to me, this game has similar vibes to 2017 Mississippi State. Tell me how I'm right and how I'm wrong on that take. So that was night game. I mean, so that was the flea flicker to get the night started, right? So that was Dan Mullen came in. Everyone was picking Mississippi State to win, and that was the lead up to the game, right? Dan Mullen was like the sexy coach at the time. He was the new hotness, and they were talking all that up, and everyone there was kind of the trendy pick that week was to pick Mississippi State to upset Georgia.
That's a yeah. I don't know how you arrived there based on the numbers that I'm seeing. I don't think that this resembles that game at all. Just my personal take on it.
I think to me, like the I just go to coaching personality. So like I can't equate Dan Mullen
The
coming
Clown
into
King.
Athens to Mark Stoops. That's where I lose it. But I also, I mean, I haven't seen like what the pundits are saying. Like, are the pundits picking an upset here? I feel like that one was like Mississippi State was really the trendy pick. So I don't know. I would love the outcome of this game to be like that one though. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, for those that don't remember, that was a game where Georgia came out and won 31-3.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think we're going to see anything quite like that. I mean, I just look like more recent history. Like, I mean, these games have been these games have been kind of tough.
Yeah, yeah. All right, John, you ready?
Yes.
It is time for Coach Trillbill's over-unders, Kentucky. All right, John, as we discussed on the review episode, I have the lead, so I get to pick who goes first.
Moment by moment, Jim.
Moment by moment. All right, I get the first moment. Georgia passing yards over under 295 passing yards for Georgia. I'm going to say over.
Ooh, I'm going to say under.
Okay. Your turn. Over under Georgia rushing yards at 95.
I'm going to say over.
I'm going to say over as well. My turn. Brock Bowers receptions over under 5.5. I'm going to go over.
Ooh, I'm going to go under.
Okay. And over to you, over to the defense. Kentucky rushing yards over under 175.
Under.
I'm going to go under. That's what I wanted to say. I'm sticking with my guns, John. And my turn. Over under 1.5 forced turnovers by the Georgia defense. I'm going to go under. I'd love to go over, but I do think we get 1. 2 is a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know why I explained that. I should just let you answer.
You said under, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go over.
Okay. And then over to you. Over under 1.5 sacks by the Georgia defense.
I'm going to go over.
Okay. I'm going to go over there. All right. I love this one. This one includes a clarification because we got confused last week. The punts. Total punts combined.
Nice.
Over under 8.5. So that would be about 4 a team.
Is it to me? Is it to you?
It's my turn.
Okay.
Man, and now I don't know what to do. I know we got the big Aussie punters. Are they going to get to showcase those legs or not? I guess I'll go over.
I'm going to go under.
Okay. And then last one.
Seems high.
Over under 10.5 different Kentucky bourbons at the tailgate.
10.5 Kentucky bourbons.
Yeah.
I guess Kentucky bourbons is a pretty explicit disclaimer on that one. I'm gonna go over.
Over. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go over as well. We'll match on that because I think that's
the reason I say that is because not all bourbons are Kentucky bourbons.
I know, but I saw that picture that Greg sent out, and I think it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah. We do tend to love the Kentucky bourbons.
Agreed.
We're a group that loves the Kentucky bourbons.
All right. Well, shout out Coach Trillbill. Thanks you for sending those in as always and tracking them for us as well. All right. Predictions. CBC R2 Sam has Georgia winning 25 to 10.3. Looking at OddsShark, the line is Georgia minus 14.5, with an over under of 47. If that sounds familiar, John, that was the exact same line and over under as the Auburn game, FYI. So predicted score 30.75 to 16.25. That line opened a lot higher and has been bet down, by the way. There was a lot of movement early. The OddsShark predicted score has Georgia 34.8 to Kentucky 29.2. So even closer.
Oh, that is kind of crazy.
I'm kind of scared to hear what you're going to say here, John. Do I need to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'll let you go first.
I almost want to like go bigger because like I didn't like what I heard you saying, but I'll say this: like you were saying, the games have been like kind of slogs of late against these guys, and that is true. It definitely was that way last year, for sure, on the road. But if you look at the last few home games, so in 2021 we beat them 30-13. In 2019 we shut them out 21-0 at home. In 2017 we beat them pretty handily 42-13. So it's been a bit of a different story when we get these guys in Athens. However, I think this is the best team we played. I think it's going to be a line of scrimmage game. I think it's going to be a tough test. I've got the Dogs winning this one 24-14.
Okay. I'm going to go. My gut here was 27-21. Like very similar scoreline to the Auburn game.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with that.
Okay.
27-21. I'm going to stick with my gut there.
Okay.
I think they pull it out. I think that this is a very even matchup. I just haven't seen enough from our lines of scrimmage to justify a 30-13, a 21-0, a 42-13 type of scoreline.
Yeah.
27. I mean, you can go back to like 2015, 27-3, 59-17. Like I just don't know that I see the closest game in Athens. You have to go back to 2011. Looks like 19-10.
Yeah.
I just don't know that our lines of scrimmage have shown me enough, and it's kind of like one of those situations where you're like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 5 times, shame on me.
Yeah. The funny thing is like the 2019 game was a 21-0. That one was like people were like complaining that it was so boring. That was the game where like it was raining the whole game, and it was like a slow start. I like it was 0-0 like forever, and then Swift finally scored a touchdown. I remember I was at that game with my dad. So
nice.
Anyways. Okay. I don't know. I did pull a couple of games of interest. So throughout the day, so we're there at the end of the day, but at noon, we've talked about Missouri as a big opponent for Georgia, and they've still made it through undefeated, but big one for them. So LSU at Missouri at noon kickoff on ESPN. So that could be a fun one. LSU coming in with 2 losses. See if Missouri can stay undefeated against those guys.
Yeah, that's an interesting matchup, right? Missouri, you got two of the more prolific passing teams in the country right now. LSU's defense is suspect. Missouri's defense is suspect. I saw someone on Twitter say that this game is going to be like 75-76 at halftime.
Yeah. I mean, Missouri's been airing it out to Luther Burden. He's having a big year as a sophomore. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Missouri's run comes to an end. I think LSU beats them. Just my take.
Right.
Then also at noon,
what was the model? I can't remember the model. Sorry to go back to the scores, but like what was the model that we were like everybody was kind of fretting about? I can't remember what the model was.
College football nerds.
College football nerds. Okay.
Yeah.
Did we plug it? Did we plug in what their little algorithm had to say about this game?
You want me to tell you?
Go ahead and tell me.
Yeah, they're predicting Kentucky.
Are you serious?
They have Kentucky 35.3 to Georgia 24.4.
25.3 to 24.
35.3 to 24.4.
Wow.
Yeah. They had, I mean, remember, I mean, they had Auburn winning pretty handily too. So,
No, they had Auburn winning barely, I thought.
yeah, was it barely?
Yeah.
I can't even remember. I don't remember what it was.
That's crazy. Well,
Yeah.
I don't see that happening, particularly that score line, but yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It's certainly something to watch.
there were all kinds of issues with their model. I'll tell you that. It got kind of torn apart online
fair enough.
throughout the week. So yeah,
the nerds, the nerd collective went in on college football nerds.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next one was Oklahoma, Texas. So Red River Shootout. I don't call it Red River rivalry. So that one's in Dallas.
Oh, yeah, the Red River Shootout. Yeah.
Dallas, 12 o'clock kickoff on ABC. Oklahoma's number 12, Texas number 3. Is Texas back, John?
I don't know. It remains to be seen.
I don't know if you saw this. Logan Booker tweeted today that they should paint an SEC logo on the midfield as a send off to the Big 12 with these two teams playing.
Just plant two flags out there.
I thought that was good. I'm gonna go with Texas on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Texas would be the winner on that one.
And then the 3:30 game, I guess maybe lost a little bit of luster, but Bama at A&M, 3:30 kickoff. That's the CBS game of the week this week. Alabama at A&M. But A&M, what only loss is that loss to Miami, right? So, well, Bama keep rolling.
I think Bama's going to keep rolling. Yeah, I think that they're in a similar kind of position of Georgia. You know, they've got their team is what it is. You know, obviously they took an early loss, but they're still Alabama, right? They're still going to be dangerous, just like Georgia is, right? Like it's kind of like that quiet confidence.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. It's different. Like you look at these games, like the Auburn game. You look at if this similar matchup would have been placed at my feet during the Richt years, I would be worried. I would be Munsoning.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. I think that's the thing, right? Like it's the quiet confidence. Again, I think it's confidence in this staff. And, you know, it's not like we're coming in and not having been punched in the mouth yet, right? I mean, this team has been punched in the mouth twice, been knocked on the ground, and has gotten up both times and come back and won. So they are, I will say this, Georgia has been tested. Georgia has been battle tested and has had to bounce back from that. Kentucky hasn't had to do that yet. So we don't know how Kentucky's going to react when they get punched in the mouth because it hasn't happened to them yet.
I like it. Jim.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like the Mike Tyson quote, right? Like, you know, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Exactly.
If it like you said, Georgia's taking it. Yeah. That's what great teams do.
Yep, for sure. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess we know we generally will talk about our plans, but I'll see you Friday.
I will see you on Friday. And dear listener, if you would like to join us, we will be at the Harvard Library.
Yeah, they do. There's a 3:00 tour of the Dooley exhibit every Friday at Harvard Library. So we're gonna go hit up our buddy Jason Hasty and go check that out on Friday afternoon. And then we'll be out and about throughout campus on Saturday.
It's the Vagabond tailgate.
Yeah, we got to iron out all the logistics, but we'll We'll do that
At
again.
some point, we're gonna absolutely have to get some pizza from Little Italy because I was super jealous of the last post you had on that.
I'll tell you, Lily would not complain if she gets to go back there again. So, not
Could
a bad
be
idea.
could be a decent lunch spot, or at least get a to go box and take it to the tailgates and watch some football because
Yeah,
we have all day.
right. Yeah, it's true. Hey, you need it when the game looms large, as this has loomed all year. You got to have all day to pack all the activities in, right?
Yes, you can't tailgate all day until you start early, or you can't drink all day unless you start when you wake up or something like that.
Sounds right. Sounds right. Cool, man. All right. Well, I'll be heading that way on Friday, take the day off, and see you Friday afternoon, and then we'll I don't know, we'll figure out the review episode may come out a little earlier than usual. We'll see. We'll see if we can make that work. Since we'll be in the same city this weekend.
Amen. Amen. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing Ponda and her famous home and Mr. Lou. Hopefully he's on the mend. How's your dad doing?
I actually talked to him today. He's doing well. He had a follow-up visit today. He's doing well. The sling does not have to be worn 100% of the time. So
Wow.
earlier
So he can give us a little go dog.
no. Yeah, no, he is not going to come to the game to specifically avoid doing something like that.
He's afraid he's going to tackle a trash can, isn't he?
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I guess we would say we're hopeful to get him back though. Before the end of the season.
Oh, I didn't tell you this. One of my buddies, a long ago friend from prior to me getting married, Brian Kingsbury is going to be in town. Old friend of mine from Chicago, who now lives similar to Tim Riley. He was miserable up north and moved down because it was too cold. And yeah, so he's going to be in town with a bunch of Kentucky buddies of his and some other random folks. But I guess that some of those kids that he knows are from Kentucky. So I will have, like I said, this is a game that's attracting far and wide.
Yeah, I will say I'm excited. I'm excited for British Bulldog. I'm excited for Chris. This will be a little bit different than Kent State last year for him. So
yes, we're gonna have to see if we can get Rodeo to put the. We're gonna see if we can get Rodeo and Greg to put the Manchester United game on, which I believe they kick off at like 10 o'clock or something like that. I need to check. I need to check
see.
the.
We'll see. You're gonna have to like bring an iPad or something.
Yeah, seriously. But yes, Manchester United actually does play.
Okay. You're gonna be looking at your phone because we're gonna still be vagabonding at that point, probably, John.
Probably, yeah. Seriously.
Cool. All right, man. Well, it was fun as usual. This one has loomed large for a long time. Ready to tee it up and light up Sanford yet again.
Amen. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.